Hello YouTubers, Max18363 here, and this is part 14 of my narrated F.E.A.R extraction point playthrough. And yeah, as you can see, we're kind of still in the subway, so this is kind of a bad news, good news kind of scenario. The bad news is that yes, we're still in the subway, and yes, we're still going through desolate tunnels and stuff for the moment, but only for the first half of this level. So yes, the first half of this level is a little bit on the dull side. The good news, however, is that the second half of this level is much more interesting, and I actually had fun going through it. I mean, the first half of this level, we're basically just going through kind of sewers and tunnels, and it's really just a bit bland. And I try to just get through it as quickly as I can, because apart from these first few goons here, nothing really happens for a good wee bit. It's kind of just bland. But the second part of this level, we emerge back onto the subways, you know, where the subway cars and stuff are, and it's rather exciting. It's a decent firefight, I would say. I have to say, I actually quite enjoyed it, and it was a fairly decent little firefight, and it does get a bit more exciting towards the end. There's a rather explosive finale to this level, and some further good news, I can confirm that the next level, we definitely have a sort of change of scenery. I have had a little sneak, I haven't played it yet, but I've had a little sneak peek, and yeah, we're outside of the subway, and it seems to be a bit more of a kind of outdoorsy level, so we get to see the sky and get some fresh air and stretch our legs, and I believe the hospital section is pretty much just round the corner, so hopefully once we get past this first little bit of this level, I'm hoping the rest of the game will be a little better. So yeah, it should be pretty good from now on till the end of the game, hopefully, I'm hoping. So yeah, we just gotta stick it out. But yeah, I had difficulty kind of keeping my attention as I was playing through this part, because as you can see, it's just bland, isn't it? I mean, I was kind of having exchanging some messages with a very loyal subscriber on sort of my last video, and we're basically just saying, isn't it weird how all these replica soldiers are going about in the underground part of the subway, guarding desolate, I believe he called it desolate tunnels or something like that, and we were just like, yeah, what the hell are they actually guarding? There's like nothing down there. And this just really isn't an improvement at all. This is going through more tunnels and what I'm guessing is supposed to be a kind of sewer, and oh dear me, it just didn't inspire me at all.
Oh god, they're dead. They're all dead.
I have to say, like, the negative points of F.E.A.R extraction point is starting to shine through a little bit now, because there's just so many things that just aren't really explained.
Be careful.
Like, well, that's Miss Quan or Jin or whatever suddenly making contact with us again, and you can think, where the hell has she been for the last few levels? And my kind of problem with it was it was a little deadpan, especially when she says, oh god, they're all dead. It's a little kind of, you know, come on, put some life into it. It's not very convincing. That really niggled me when I heard that. Okay, I'm aware they're maybe not professional voice actors or anything, but come on, give it some life. That kind of annoyed me a bit. And it's just like, well, Who's all dead? Who's she talking about? Who's she referring to? It's just, what has she been doing all this time while we're fighting to stay alive, getting hunted by all these replicas? Is this not really explained? At least the original F.E.A.R took a rough stab at trying to explain things with her voicemails and stuff like that. You know, and there was nuggets of story that you could dig up, whereas an extraction point, at times there's nothing to get your teeth into narrative-wise, and at first I thought they got off to a kind of decent start, and I thought it was kind of interesting how Alma appeared to be helping us for a while, and there was some kind of interesting nuggets going on there, but now we just seem to have hit a bit of a dead end in terms of the story, and yeah, it's just kind of bringing me down, and some of the uninspired level design that we're seeing here, I mean, what the hell is this? This is just, if you excuse the language, shite. What is this? Going through one-way, linear, crummy-looking tunnels. Aye. Now this little fight here is sort of interesting. This actually featured in the demo for Extraction Point. I remember it because I got totally caught out. So it's a good idea to sort of prepare a bit. I send out a little sticky bomb there and try to get a turret and go. A bit of preparation is always good. And I like to just hang here and pick him off from a distance. There's usually always about 6 of them. A little patience, the rest of them do show up. They are there. That's an elite rifle that's, sorry, a laser rifle that's going off here. Or laser carbine, I believe that's the proper name. So yeah, I think that third enemy there, I can't really remember the exact name, but it's something or other carbine, laser carbine or something like that. And it's basically, it kind of just does what it sounds like. It fires a laser, but it's like I mean, I have used it. I did kind of muck around with it, not in this recording, but I did muck around with it, and it basically just fires a sort of continuous beam, and it just destroys anything in its path. Really, it cuts enemies in half, and it is actually quite a good little weapon. The only problem with it is that the ammunition is rather sparse, so considering it for a mainstream weapon isn't really an option. So on this occasion I opted to keep the minigun for the rather tricky fights. Once we get back up to the subway, we'll be dealing with more heavy minigunners, and yeah, it is quite a tough little fight, and it'll be quite good. That'll be in the next part. So yeah, that was good. That was a repeating cannon that we just passed there, but again, same problem. There isn't really enough ammunition to justify picking it up, so I just leave it. But it's there if you want it. Bottom of this room there is a reflex booster, which is definitely worth picking up. I have noticed with Extraction Point that there seems to be twice as many health boosters to reflex boosters. Reflex boosters are actually quite rare. I think this is only like the 5th reflex booster in total that I've actually picked up. The health boosters is probably almost double that by now, or by the end of this level it is. So yeah, reflex boosters seem to be a little sparser. And the kind of formula that the original F.E.A.R had was that usually every level had at least one health booster and one reflex booster. And I quite liked that. I thought it was a good formula. Not every level was like that, but the majority used that. That's different this time around. Possibly it was an attempt to try and, I don't know, maybe make slow-mo a bit more sparse, or because I am quite bad for being a bit over-reliant on my reflex boosters, I suppose, or my slow motion thing in general. So yes, I am aware of that, but I don't know, it does make the combat a bit easier and it is quite cool, so you know. But that's another thing that did niggle me a little bit. It's a little niggle, it's not a huge problem. They are kicking about if you just keep your eyes peeled, but certainly that's the first reflex booster I've seen in a good few levels, I think. And this is probably my other problem with F.E.A.R Extraction Point as well, is that the horror just doesn't have the same feeling that the original F.E.A.R had. I mean, now that we're a good bit into F.E.A.R Extraction Point, I'm starting to notice some of the faults in it, and the horror just doesn't have that kind of same ring to it. You know, first time I went through F.E.A.R, like the original F.E.A.R, I will admit I was genuinely startled at times with the whole Alma Ladder incident and some of the other scares. They did startle me, and I was susceptible to the kind of white noise in your earpiece and stuff like that, whereas it just has a bit of a really cheap, or maybe I should say cheaper feel this time round. That's not to say that there hasn't been some interesting scenes. The first time we came across those kind of little invisible ghost things, I mean, that was kind of a cool wee section, and some of the sequences near the start of the game, yeah, they were quite cool, and yeah, they were interesting, but I wouldn't say F.E.A.R Extraction Point has really made me jump out my seat or given me goosebumps or anything. Or I don't know, perhaps I've just gotten a little bit numb to F.E.A.R's tactics, or maybe it's just because the horror is lesser. Not so pronounced, perhaps. Not as developed. So, yeah, all interesting stuff. So in the next part, the action is hopefully going to heat up a little bit now. We're kind of not too far away from the big subway battle. And I think it's quite, I thought it was quite good, I have to admit. I did actually have a bit more fun going through that sequence. And then shortly after that we'll be into the great outdoors, and hopefully a wee change of scenery and a change of pace. I was thinking about trying to melee this guy, but I guess he heard me. I was thinking, oh, I could run up and try and jump kick him, but he turned round as I approached him, so that didn't really work out. These things happen. So yeah, thanks for watching. Until the next time, behave yourself.